Tokyo Capsule Harbor operated all night, bright, clean, and impersonal. During one storm, a father checked in with his 10-year-old son. The desk clerk remembered them because the boy looked exhausted and frightened. Their capsule numbers were assigned on the 6th floor near the end. By morning, the father checked out alone, carrying both their bags. When staff asked about the child, he looked genuinely confused. He insisted he had arrived alone and never brought anyone. Security footage clearly showed the boy walking beside him upstairs. Police opened an investigation after the mother reported her son missing. The father repeated the same denial even after watching the recording. The missing boy's name was Soda, age 10, quiet and observant. Staff searched the capsules, lockers, laundry, and every service corridor. Nothing was found except one small sneaker beneath a vending machine. The sneaker matched Soda's size but carried no fingerprints. A month passed and business slowly returned to normal again. Only one cleaner, Daichi, refused to forget what happened there. He worked the graveyard shift and listened while hallways emptied. At 3:03 each night, he heard gentle knocking from above. The sound came from sealed capsules no guest had booked. When Daichi checked them, the doors always stood slightly ajar. Inside, pillows were disturbed as if someone had just risen. One night, he followed soft footsteps along the 6th floor corridor. At the end, he glimpsed a small boy turning the corner. Daichi ran after him, but found only closed capsule doors. On a nearby wall, water dripped, though no pipes ran there. The droplets formed tiny footprints leading toward an emergency exit. That exit opened into a maintenance stairwell the guests never used. Below the stairs, old concrete smelled damp and strangely cold. Daichi found forgotten cameras in a locked service office downstairs. The hotel manager said those cameras predated the current renovation. Curious, Daichi restored one monitor and played the stored footage. A grainy clip showed Soda walking alone at 3:03 exactly. He moved through the 6th floor hall, looking into every capsule row. No adult followed him and no guest seemed to notice. At the corridor's end, he opened a panel in the wall. Behind it stretched a narrow passage between hotel structures. Daichi compared blueprints and found older sublevels buried beneath the hotel. Before renovation, the property had served as an air raid shelter. Several tunnels were sealed, but one aligned with the hidden panel. Daichi entered the passage carrying a flashlight and hotel keycard. The cramped route descended beneath the capsule floors gradually. Rusty signs marked bunk numbers from an older emergency shelter. Children's chalk drawings still covered parts of the concrete walls. One drawing showed a small room with no visible door. Another showed a boy waving beside many stacked sleeping pods. Deep inside, Daichi found a chamber beneath the 6th floor. It resembled a distorted capsule hall, smaller, darker, and older. Rows of bunk spaces lined both sides like narrow graves. A single fluorescent tube flickered above the center passage. There, Sota stood quietly, wearing the same clothes from check-in. He asked Daichi if his father had come back yet. Daichi tried approaching slowly, but Sota stepped farther into the room. The boy explained he had gotten lost looking for the restroom. He heard his father's voice, then followed it behind the wall. After that, the hall changed and no exits led upward. Every night, he walked the capsules hoping to be noticed. Guests slept above him, but nobody ever looked down. Daichi promised to help, and Sota finally smiled faintly. They searched the bunker corridor for any stair or hatch. Instead, they found stacked belongings from forgotten hotel renovations. Among them lay old guest tags, toys, and handwritten notices. One notice described a child lost during emergency shelter use. The date was decades old, long before Sota was born. Sota seemed uneasy, as if hearing someone else whisper nearby. Then many pod doors clicked open throughout the underground chamber. Figures lay inside, hidden in shadow, breathing but never moving. Daichi shone his light, and every pod slammed shut together. At the far end, he saw the hotel's current manager standing. The manager's face looked normal, yet his reflection showed none. He calmly said some guests never complete their checkout properly. Daichi realized the manager had worked there much too long. Sota grabbed his sleeve and pointed toward a glowing exit sign. It appeared only when the overhead light flickered 3 times. They ran for it as knocking erupted from every sealed pod. Behind them, the manager walked slowly, carrying a key ring. Sota reached the sign first and opened a narrow steel hatch. Cold night air rushed in from behind the vending machines. Daichi climbed out, then turned to pull soda through. The boy smiled sadly and placed his sneaker in Daichi's hand. He said someone had to remember he really came here. By daylight, Inunnaki Tunnel looked abandoned, silent, and almost harmless. At night, local drivers claimed the tunnel swallowed voices, headlights, and directions. 4 university friends decided to film the place during a summer storm. Mika laughed the loudest, even while gripping her phone too tightly. The warning sign near the road had been scratched beyond recognition. No streetlights remained, only wet trees leaning toward the narrow tunnel mouth. Their car stopped outside, and the rain grew louder on the roof. One friend suggested leaving, but Mika insisted they had come too far. They entered the tunnel, filming walls covered in damp stains and moss. Their footsteps echoed strangely, as if another group walked behind them. Mika heard a girl whisper her name, though nobody stood nearby. The camera lights flickered, and the air became suddenly colder inside. Halfway through, they found old offerings, wilted flowers, coins, and broken toys. One toy phone began ringing softly, though it had no batteries. Mika answered as a joke and heard only desperate breathing. When she turned around, the others were farther away than before. She ran toward them, but the tunnel seemed much longer now. A figure appeared at the far end, blocking the pale exit light. It looked like a woman still soaked and facing the wall. Mika called to her friends, but their voices sounded muffled and distant. The flashlight beam caught dozens of handprints pressed into the concrete. Some prints were tiny, others looked clawed, all of them wet. Then the car horn screamed outside, long broken and terrified. Mika sprinted out, but emerged alone into the rain and mud. The car remained parked, doors open, cameras dropped, friends nowhere visible. Police searched the forest until dawn, finding no trace of anyone. 3 days later, Mika walked home barefoot, pale, and completely silent. Her mother embraced her, but Mika did not return the gesture. Doctors found no injuries, yet Mika never answered a single question. Each night at 2:17, she sat facing the dark backyard fence. She seemed to listen, as if someone whispered from beyond it. Investigators checked road cameras, expecting proof of the missing friend's arrival. Instead, every recording showed Mika driving alone through the mountain road. Photos from the trip changed too, leaving only empty space beside her. Social media posts remained, but every tagged friend had disappeared. School records still existed, though faces were blurred on printed pages. One officer visited the tunnel again and heard a ringing phone inside. He followed the sound but returned shaken and refused to speak. Mika began drawing the tunnel endlessly, always adding one extra doorway. That doorway never appeared in any real map of the structure. Her mother found muddy footprints leading from Mika's room to the yard. They were smaller than Mika's feet and ended at the fence. On the wood, someone had scratched 4 short names repeatedly. By morning, 3 names were gone, leaving only Mika's untouched. When questioned about the scratches, Mika only blinked and looked away. At 2:17 again, the family phone rang, though no number appeared. Mika answered immediately as if she had been waiting all day. From the receiver came tunnel echoes, dripping water and familiar laughter. For the first time, Mika smiled, but not like herself. Her mother grabbed the phone, yet heard nothing except wind. The next day, Mika began speaking one sentence over and over. She said they were still inside and the tunnel wanted room. Police reopened the case and returned underground with stronger lights. Near the deepest section, they found 4 old-school bracelets together. 3 belonged to the missing friends, 1 still carried Mika's name. Yet Mika was at home, sitting motionless before the backyard fence. The tunnel report listed the bracelets as impossible evidence, then vanished. That evening, Mika's reflection remained smiling after she stopped smiling. Her mother saw it first in the kitchen window at dusk. The reflected Mika lifted one hand, though the real girl stayed still. Rain began again and muddy water spread beneath the back door. When her father checked outside, he found no footprints this time. Instead, he heard 4 sets of footsteps circling the house slowly. Every room light flickered when Mika looked toward the hallway mirror. In the mirror, 3 soaked figures stood behind her shoulder. They had no eyes, only dark hollows and dripping hair. Mika whispered their names, then pressed her forehead to the glass. Her parents tried pulling her away, but the mirror felt warm. A school counselor visited and recognized one figure from an old yearbook. That student had disappeared near Inunnaki Tunnel 20 years earlier. The counselor then noticed another figure wearing the same bracelet style. Mika finally wrote a note, because speaking seemed suddenly difficult. It read they let me leave because I brought the door home. The family searched her room and found damp mud beneath the bed. Hidden, there was a cracked tunnel tile, cold and slick. At 2:17 that night, the house phones rang together upstairs. Mika stood before the hallway mirror and touched the glass again. This time, the surface rippled, revealing the tunnel behind her reflection. 3 missing friends waited inside, smiling the same borrowed smile. Mika stepped forward, while her reflection stepped backward into darkness.
Setagaya, the killer who stayed. Tokyo, December 30th, 2000. The new year was only 1 day away. In Setagaya, the Miyazawa family returned from an ordinary shopping trip. Mikio worked in corporate design and loved animation and theatrical performance. Yasuko operated a small private learning school inside their home. Eight-year-old Nina enjoyed piano music and attending ballet lessons. 6-year-old Rei attended a public kindergarten in the Setagaya neighborhood. That evening, the family shared dinner and watched television together. Outside, Soshigaya Park becomes silent and almost completely deserted. Because of the park expansion, only 4 houses remained in the area. At around 11 that night, a figure appeared beyond the darkened park. No camera recorded his face or the exact path that he followed. Investigators believe the upstairs bathroom window may have been his entrance. Nobody knows where he came from or how long he watched the house. Inside, the lights remained on and the television continued playing. The quiet inside the family home was suddenly broken. What happened next could only be reconstructed from the evidence left behind. All 4 family members were killed, inside the place they called home. Most disturbingly, the intruder did not immediately flee from the house. He remained inside, allowing the minutes and hours to pass around him. Those unexplained hours transformed the crime into an especially haunting mystery. On December 31st, relatives were unable to contact the family. The doorbell was pressed repeatedly, but nobody responded from inside. The door opened into a house that was unnaturally and completely silent. Within minutes, police officers and emergency personnel were called to the residence. The area was sealed while the rest of Tokyo prepared for celebration. Inside, investigator realized this was not an ordinary home invasion. Several drawers had been opened and papers had been searched and scattered. Yet, several valuable possessions remained untouched inside the residence. If robbery was the motive, why had so many valuables been left behind? And why had the offender left behind an extraordinary record of himself? Evidence indicated that the intruder used several objects inside the family home. He opened the refrigerator and consumed food belonging to the family. He also used Mikio's computer after the family had been attacked. His behavior suggested little fear of being discovered immediately. The intruder appears to have treated injuries sustained on his own hands. Blood not belonging to the victims allowed police to identify his blood type. The offender's fingerprints and genetic material were also recovered from the scene. Police possessed biological clues, yet still had no name to attach to them. No available database match led investigators to an identifiable suspect. A man who left DNA, fingerprints and clothing still vanished without a trace. At the scene, police found a black AirTag jacket left behind. A grey knitted crusher hat with black trim also belonged to the intruder. He left a multicolored checked scarf whose sales origin remains uncertain. The bag's belt length suggested that the offender had a relatively slim waist. The bag's belt length suggested that the offender had a relatively slim waist. Slazenger shoes left footprints corresponding to approximately 27.5 centimeters. That shoe model was manufactured in South Korea and was uncommon in Japan. 2 black handkerchiefs were found, folded and altered in unusual ways. Police believe one handkerchief may have been used to conceal his face. Each abandoned object seemed to bring police closer, but never close enough. The most distinctive clue was a light gray and pale purple raglan shirt. Only 130 shirts of that type were sold throughout Japan. Only 10 were sold through 4 stores located within the Tokyo area. Police identified one owner, while the remaining 9 shirts stayed unaccounted for. Receipts and retail records from the year 2000 were far from complete. A customer could have paid in cash without leaving any identifying name. The shirt was exceptionally rare, yet its owner could not be identified. Police continue asking anyone connected to the shirt to provide information. Owning a similar shirt does not make someone a suspect in the case. Finding the remaining 9 could narrow the path leading toward the offender. Based on his clothing, police believe the offender was relatively young. His estimated height at the time was approximately 170 centimeters. The hip bag measurement suggested that he had a relatively slender build. Other evidence led investigators to believe that he was probably right-handed. The offender's blood recovered at the scene was identified as type A. He likely suffered injuries to his hands during the night of the crime. Police searched for people treated for unusual injuries after that night. Those injuries have long healed, and his physical appearance may have changed. Today, DNA and fingerprints remain the clues that cannot simply disappear. Police built a physical profile, but the most important detail remained missing: identity. The investigation became one of the largest criminal inquiries in modern Japan. Thousands of public tips were examined across years of continuous investigation. Former residents near the park were questioned about that winter night. Police searched for anyone who moved suddenly or disappeared after the crime. Clothing. Stores and distributors were examined across multiple Japanese prefectures. The uncommon shoes expanded inquiries toward people with connections to South Korea. An object's origin cannot establish the nationality of the person who used it. Theories involving foreigners, locals, or acquaintances remain unproven speculation. Without a clear motive, investigators could not effectively narrow the suspect pool. The more evidence accumulated, the central question became increasingly difficult to answer. Did he know the family or choose the house because it was isolated? Did he enter through the window or was he allowed through a door? Why did he carry personal items only to abandon them at the scene? Was he panic careless or deliberately creating misleading evidence? Why use the computer when every extra minute increased the chance of capture? Did he know nobody would arrive, or did he simply not care? His departure time and escape direction have never been conclusively established. He may have walked, boarded a train, or entered a waiting vehicle. There is no confession, direct eyewitness, or confirmed explanation for the motive. The case contains thousands of small answers, but lacks the one that matters. Many original investigators have retired, but the case has never been closed. DNA, fingerprints, and physical evidence remain preserved for future forensic technology. Every forensic advance may create another opportunity to revisit the evidence. Tokyo Police continued publicly requesting information from anyone who remembers. A reward of up to 20 million yen remains available for valuable information. Someone who remembers the shirt, shoes, or a stranger may hold the final clue. That witness may not realize how important their forgotten memory could be. For the relatives, this is not a mystery, but decades spent waiting for justice. The killer left Setagaya, but his physical traces remain in police custody. Until a name emerges, that house still holds the final night of 2000.
Apartment 7B was found locked from inside on a rainy Monday. Its tenant, Kenzo Mori, lay dead beside the small dining table. There were no wounds, no broken locks, and no intruder's trace. Police called it impossible because every window was sealed shut. A young reporter named Rina arrived before sunrise with her camera. She specialized in strange local crimes and unsolved apartment legends. The building itself was old, narrow, and permanently damp inside. Neighbors whispered that 7B had always sounded occupied after midnight. Yet Kenzo lived there alone and rarely spoke to anyone. Rina interviewed the residents while detectives photographed the tiny room. Everyone repeated the same detail: the body moved each night. Security footage showed sealed police tape, but changing shadows within. At midnight, Kenzo's body seemed closer to the bedroom door. By dawn, it faced the window, though nobody entered inside. Police suspected tampering, but the hallway camera never cut once. Rina requested permission to spend the night in the building. Her editor agreed, hoping for either fraud or something unbelievable. Across from 7B, apartment 7A had been vacant for years. The landlord reluctantly gave Rena a key and one warning. He said the vents between units carried voices strangely at night. Rena entered 7A with recording gear, flashlights, and floor maps. The apartment smelled stale, as though nobody breathed there anymore. Thin walls separated 7A from the sealed investigation room next door. At 11:43, she heard one chair scrape across the floor. It came from 7B, though the room was under evidence lock. Rena pressed her ear to the wall and heard breathing. Then came a knock 3 times from inside the dead man's room. She checked the hallway and found the police seal untouched. Detectives returned briefly, confirmed everything secure, then left again frustrated. Rena noticed a vent grill high near the kitchen ceiling. Old building plans revealed air shafts running between every apartment. One shaft ended in a maintenance crawl space behind 7B's walls. Crawling there required removing rusted screws and squeezing through plaster dust. Rena entered after midnight, dragging her small camera behind her. The shaft carried whispers, but none sounded like ordinary speech. From a crack, she saw 7B's table and taped floor. Kenzo's body still lay there, exactly where police had placed him. But in the room's wardrobe mirror, another angle showed movement. A standing figure appeared reflected near the bedroom entrance silently. Rena turned away from the crack, breathing hard in darkness. The shaft walls were scratched with names and apartment numbers. One name matched a missing child from 20 years earlier. Another matched a woman who vanished after a fire downstairs. Rena realized many disappearances were linked to this building alone. Returning to 7A, she reviewed footage from the crawl space immediately. The reflected figure behind Kenzo was not visible to her eyes. Only the camera had captured its outline near the mirror. It looked like a person wearing Kenzo's own apartment slippers. Rena investigated old tenant records stored in the basement office. Several units, including 7B, once belonged to one family. That family disappeared after reporting footsteps inside the walls nightly. Their final complaint mentioned breathing vents and someone behind the wallpaper. Back upstairs, Rena found her own room door slightly open. Inside 7A, her recorder was playing while nobody stood nearby. A voice whispered, "He lets them borrow the room at night." Rena traced the sound to the shared vent above the sink. When she shined her flashlight, 2 eyes vanished deeper inside. She called detectives, but the line filled with sharp interference. Meanwhile, the camera in 7B showed Kenzo now standing upright. Rena froze, then ran across the corridor toward the locked door. The police seal remained unbroken, yet footsteps sounded inside clearly. From under the door came damp air and quiet shuffling. She peered through the keyhole and saw the room empty. Only the wardrobe mirror reflected Kenzo standing behind the table. Detectives finally returned and opened 7B before dawn nervously. The body lay again on the floor facing the window. Rena showed them the footage, but one clip was missing. The file containing the standing reflection had erased itself completely. Still, dust on the floor showed fresh slipper marks around the room. In the wardrobe, officers found an old hidden maintenance hatch. It connected to wall cavities large enough for someone to crouch. Yet no living person could explain the locked room movements recorded. Rena published her article, but one photograph unsettled everyone deeply. Behind her in 7A's mirror stood Kenzo, alive and watching. Readers flooded comments with stories from former residents of the building. Many claim they heard furniture dragging in empty apartments upstairs. 1 week later, apartment 7A was rented to a new tenant. On his first night, the hallway camera saw Rena enter 7B. She had not visited the building again and was home asleep. By morning, both apartment doors were locked from the inside. The old Okiku estate sat hidden beyond cedar trees and moss. A documentary crew arrived there hoping to film a famous legend. Their subject was Okiku, the servant girl thrown into the well. The legend said she counted dishes each night, forever stopping at 9. Director Shun wanted realism, but not superstition, fear, or delays. The crew unloaded lights, cameras, cables, and a portable sound booth. Historian Aya guided them through the house with careful respect. She warned everyone never to answer if counting rose from the well. Most of the crew laughed, though nobody laughed very long. The courtyard well stood beneath a rotting wooden cover and rope. Its stones were wet, even though the day stayed warm. Sound technician Ren placed a microphone above the opening at dusk. At first, the headphones captured only insects, wind, and creaking boards. Then a girl's voice counted softly, 1, 2, 3, 4. It stopped at 9, followed by a pause too human. Ren removed the headphones, pale, and insisted someone was below. The crew searched the shaft with lights and found only darkness. No water surface reflected back, only a depth that swallowed beams. Shun decided to continue, calling the effect perfect for television. That night, actress Mickey wore a white costume for reenactment scenes. She stood beside the well while fog drifted across the courtyard. Every monitor showed an extra woman behind her in the frame. When the crew turned around, the courtyard remained completely empty. Aya checked old blueprints and found an unexplained chamber near the well. The chamber was not listed on any modern restoration records. Meanwhile, wet footprints appeared from the well to the veranda. They ended outside the room where costumes had been stored. Inside, Miki's spare robe hung dripping beside a second hairpin. No one admitted placing it there or touching the wardrobe. During the next take, the counting began again without microphones. This time, everyone heard it rising from the stones directly. One through 9 came slowly, clear, and unbearably close. After 9, a wet voice whispered, "Where is the 10th?" Miki screamed and stumbled backward, dropping a porcelain dish prop. The broken pieces rolled toward the well, though the ground was level. Ren replayed the latest recording and found another voice underneath. A man kept apologizing, then splashing sounds abruptly interrupted him. Aya explained the original lord accused Okiku of losing one plate. When she denied it, he murdered her and hid the crime. The estate later changed hands, but the well was never sealed. Shun ordered a drone camera lowered into the shaft after midnight. Its monitor revealed not water, but walls descending into a room. Rows of porcelain dishes lined the chamber beneath the well. In the center stood a woman with long, wet hair. She faced downward, counting again while cradling one cracked dish. The drone signal distorted as she slowly lifted her head. Its feed died when one pale eye looked upward clearly. Generators failed across the estate, plunging every room into darkness. Emergency lanterns showed shadows moving through paper screen hallways upstairs. Crew members became separated while chasing sounds of counting and crying. One cameraman found the dining room fully set for 10 guests. Every bowl held rainwater, and one seat at the end waited. Miki later said she saw a soaked woman in her mirror. The woman stood behind her, yet left no reflection herself. Aya led the crew toward the archive room seeking old household records. There they found 10 serving logs, each ending with a missing line. One final entry read, "The 10th plate belongs to the witness." Shun laughed nervously until all 10 dishes sounded from somewhere nearby. The noise came from the courtyard, where the well cover stood open. Ren swore he had locked the rope and crossbar himself. A single dish now rested beside the well's rim. It was old, painted blue, and cracked straight through the center. Aya believed the spirit wanted the story finished truthfully, not theatrically. She told Shun to confess the reenactment had disrespected the dead. Before he could speak, the counting resumed from right behind him. 1 to 9 circled the courtyard as if voices walked around them. At the final pause, Miki whispered there were only 9 props. Everyone turned and saw a 10th dish in her hands. She did not remember picking it up or leaving the veranda. The soaked woman then appeared clearly beside the open well. She raised one finger toward Miki, asking silently for the plate. Aya stepped forward instead, offering the cracked blue dish carefully. The spirit took it, and the courtyard wind stopped instantly. For one breath, the woman looked young, calm, and grateful. Then she dissolved into water that ran back down the stones. Dawn reached the house, and power slowly returned to the estate. The crew packed up quietly, promising never to dramatize the legend. Later, reviewing footage, Ren found one impossible final shot. Inside the deep chamber, 10 dishes stood neatly arranged in silence. Behind them, one empty place remained, with Miki's hairpin resting there.